I want to share with you how I select seed for my garden using a grocery shopping list.
My name is Keenan, and I'm a professional gardener by trade with over 10 years of experience in farming and landscaping. Additionally, I have a degree in horticulture. I have professional connections in academia and also in business in the garden industry. I have a lot of experiences I would love to share with you. One thing that I know is that you will not need an absolute way to garden. We can tailor fit that approach to you.
I believe you may have motivation or inspiration behind starting your own garden. Possibly you love food, or you just want to see a plant grow and enjoy the beauty of that process. To possibly giving yourself a peace of mind how this food was even produced and ended up on your table. Whatever reason that motivates you for starting a garden, I'd love to hear about it. Please leave your comments down below. I want to share with you how I generate some ideas to select seed in my own garden. I give you my weekly menu or grocery shopping list. You can see I have vegetables, herbs, and fruits written down. And I even have it earmarked where they're going to end up, like my garden outside, to pots, containers, and even a hydroponic device. You're seeing a pattern here. What do you have on your weekly grocery shopping list that you have of favorite fruits, herbs, and vegetables? Once you have that identified, we can start selecting seed. As we're selecting seed for our garden, seeds will become plants, and plants have a life cycle and certain classes that plants have. And not all plants are in the same class. We have annual, and a good example of an annual would be these broccoli right here. It takes about a good season, your growing season, to get them established so that you can harvest within that year's period of time. It doesn't mean it takes a year, but within your growing season to complete its life cycle, that is deemed annual. Another example right here is, this is garlic. Garlic is not an annual. Garlic is what I would term a biennial. In other words, it takes 2 seasons to complete its life cycle, or within 2 years. And a good example of this is in northern Utah where I live. I plant this about early fall, September-ish, October, or even early November, and it will grow and sprout up, and then it will go dormant over winter, and it will come back up in the spring, and then in about later summer, then you can harvest this garlic out of the ground. So this is a biennial. Another example that I'd like to introduce to you is perennial plants. And I have these raspberries. Raspberries, pretty much after you start them the first year, they will come back the following, and after that, year after year. So it's many years. This is a perennial, and that's something to consider as the garden space that you've identified, that you properly plan out what you want that's more permanent, and then stuff that will be placed in for temporary within that season. And that's the nice thing with certain fruits and vegetables. You can move them around, and that's something to consider as we're selecting seed. I want to show you this 2023 USDA plant hardiness zone map. This is the most recent that's available that I could find, put out by the United States Department of Agriculture. And this is just a standard by which gardeners and growers can determine
what perennial plants are most likely to thrive in the location you live. You also see this for like annual seeds. So to put that in perspective, this is just a map of grow zones of different colors of the minimum coldest temperatures that you can expect to experience. So to show how that works, hit OK. And there is a zip code zone search, but I am going to zoom in or scroll. And I'm going to drag up to my area and scroll a little bit more. So I'm in Cache County in northern Utah, and it will show my city, Logan. And now if I want to know the particular details, even though it's giving me the color code and I can look at that color coding system map, I'll enter it in. This will show that I am in a zone 6A, which means my minimum coldest temperatures in this area can expect to be between -10 to -5. But it has been a whole lot colder in times past. I've experienced -30, really cold. When you go to your plant garden center or wherever you buy, you'll have some customer service representatives be able to help you on selecting the right plant for your area. That's what they are experts in because they're selling it. Just want to also show that we have different pockets of color zones even in my county. We have really cold or extreme areas, this purple color like 5A, -20 to -15. And we have the lighter green area that's from -5 to 0. And we just have different terrain because we have a mountainous area, we have valleys, we have different areas that are going to experience different climate temperatures. That's something to keep in mind as you pull up this map and for your county, is that not everything's going to be the same, and this is just a starting point, and this isn't the end all of determining what plants are going to make it, as there's other factors that will be considered. And the main takeaway is you'll encounter these zone maps on a seed packet or on a label of a plant that you buy, and this is just to say that, hey, these are the most cold extreme temperatures on average that you're going to experience, and can they survive? To give an example, like raspberries, I've grown in these temperatures of -10 to -5 and even experienced a little bit colder, and they have made it just fine. So this is what we would use the USDA plant hardiness zone map for when you're looking for seed. And that is that from start to seed to when you harvest, you have a certain amount of days that that's going to take place. How we determine that is usually through our average frost-free days, and so we base that off of the last frost date. So I'm going to go here into this link I have, Plant Now or Wait, put out through Utah State University Extension, and just getting into the nitty-gritty. Climate here is fickle. In Cache Valley, we've got places like in Lewiston and Trenton that only have about 113 days of frost-free weather. You come to main campus on the bench, Utah State University, you have 158. So that's quite a difference of days of growing weather that you might not be able to grow certain crops. And so when we talk about days of maturity, this will be listed on your seed packet, and it will say it takes this many days for you to harvest what you want to harvest from that plant, or it's mature. When we go down, this is kind of cool. We have frost information for various locations in Utah, and I'm just like scrolling down. Logan, generally they have on average May 14th is when the frost goes away, and it's not till about September 25th that we start to get colder, frosty weather. And again, these are averages. This is just to keep in mind. I've experienced some years where it extends out into October, even into November. crazy as it is for some weather. And then, of course, it comes super early, like September. It varies, but this is a good guideline to go off of when you want to plant something in your garden. And so I'll leave this link down below. Now that you've decided what you want to grow in your garden, where do I go and get my seed? You might have thought to look through a seed catalog or even go and visit your local garden center. When you arrive there, you realize there's so many choices and varieties to select. Fret not. I've got a solution for you that will help reduce the time spent on choosing what you can select. I want to share this bulletin put out through Utah State University's Service Extension in the Yard and Garden section of Home Vegetable Garden Variety Recommendations for Utah. There's so many different types of varieties of fruits and vegetables, it could probably get mind-boggling. This guide right here is really nice because through their research-based programs, they've studied some things that do well here, and they've put it out in a list. So just in short, we have seeds to choose from, and not all seeds are the same. We have open pollinated, and usually you can think of seed in this category that are heirloom to organic, and these are seed that generally they come true year to year with the same characteristics and qualities and so on and so forth. And they do have their value. And I have definitely grown quite a bit in this area. And it's definitely something that you should consider. And also there is hybrid varieties. And these are seed that certain characteristics have been selected out that actually make these seeds superior to heirloom. For instance, they can resist disease better. They're more vigorous in their growth. They're more uniform, and they just produce better. And I would definitely recommend, as you go and collect seed, hybrid seed isn't exactly like open pollinated in the respect of it's not going to come true to form each year because of it being in a controlled environment to select out specific traits in nature that's crossing like species with like species to get out those certain characteristics. These are a list of garden vegetables that are known to grow well here in this area. They've already tried it out, so the homework has been done for you, and it's a starting point. It's not all encompassing, but it does give you quite a list to choose from. So say like green bean, you've got the bush type called Blue Lake, and you have this number 58. That is from starting from a seed to harvesting green beans off of that plant, it's going to be around 58 days. And then going on down, say like lettuce, and you want to grow a lettuce head like oak leaf. It'll take you about from seed 45 days to harvesting that head of lettuce. And so on and so forth to all your favorite garden vegetables. I got one other one to share that might be in a better readable form. And this is also an extension bulletin put out through Utah State University Extension. And it's a recommended vegetable varieties for northern Utah. I like this one, and I'm sharing it with you because it's alphabetically in order. And it just shows of hybrid and open pollinated varieties of what grows well here. So hopefully this helps and gives you a great starting point. I thought I'd show you Anderson Seed and Garden out of Logan, Utah. And they've put together this wonderful 2024 seed list. I've already clicked on their download, so something will appear like this vegetable seed list. And they cover everything from artichoke, asparagus, clear down to tomatoes and watermelon. Going down further, they have a garden planting guide. Talking about cool season and warm season. Cool season, you kind of have these subcategories that's more specific in the time that you plant during the season. So we've got this hardy group that really can withstand some really cold weather. In our area, starting around mid-March, you could plant kale, lettuce, onion, peas, to name a few. Also within the cool season category, semi-hardy. This is stuff like beets, parsnips, carrots, potatoes. And that's like a couple weeks after Easter. So now moving into the warm season crops, you have tender and very tender. The tender is stuff that you can plant on your average frost date. So here that's closer around Mother's Day, Memorial Day, end of May. And that's stuff like bush beans, pole beans, celery, and corn. And then we've got the very tender group. I love to plant tomatoes, peppers, watermelon, zucchini, etc. So this is something to keep in mind, better ideal times to plant. And then just to additionally add, we even got times to plant for fall crops. And Anderson's does a good job to demonstrate this in our area, that you could plant from mid-July through August. You got stuff like beets, chard, broccoli, lettuce, peas, Brussels sprouts, etc. It is possible to grow in the fall time. And one last thing to show, you also have herbs. And who doesn't like basil or cilantro, dill, mint, rosemary, thyme, oregano? I love all of these, and I've got plans to plant. You'd want to plant these kind of close to the last frost date in our area, which is like close to Memorial Day. So wanted to share that with you. It is definitely a vital piece in considering when selecting your seed.
If you like this video, please subscribe, like, leave your comments down below, and I'll catch you in the next video.